The council will come to order. All rise and salute the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of our veterans, service members, and those who have given the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. Councillor Taylor for another moment of silence.
Hold on, let me get my note. I apologize. So I would just like to have a moment of silence for our Ward 5 resident.
Why don't you turn on
for a Ward 5 resident, Tana, who is living at Forestdale Park, a longtime community member and member of Kiwanis, did a lot for the city, and she was an amazing person for anybody who met her, and I'd like to have a moment of silence for her.
Thank you. We're going to go to Councillor Winslow for the land acknowledgement.
We honor and acknowledge the Massachusetts, Pennacook, and Pawtucket peoples whose ancestral lands we now call home and on which we gather today. We express gratitude to the indigenous peoples who have cared for this land for generations predating European colonization and continuing to the present. Moving forward, we are committed to ensuring that the histories, voices, and contributions of our indigenous peoples are recognized and respected in the life of our city.
Thank you. The clerk will call the roll.
Councillor Cologne Hayes. Here. Councillor Condon. Councillor Crowe.
Here.
Councillor Linehan. Here. Councillor McDonald. Here. Councillor Seega. Here. Councillor Simonelli. Here. Councillor Spatafora. Here. Councillor Taylor. Here. Councillor Winslow.
Here.
Council President O'Malley.
Here. Under the provisions of the open meeting law, for those of you in attendance, please be informed that UMA Urban Media Arts will be recording this evening's meeting. So please be aware there will be audio and video recordings of this meeting. First order of business is public comment. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Doesn't appear that we do.
I'm just going to check the list. 1 second.
I don't see any.
Doesn't look like there's anybody written on the list.
We have nothing sent in written.
No, sir.
Thank you. So next we're going to go into the consent agenda. This evening's consent agenda consists of meeting minutes to be approved, 8 appointments to be referred to the Personnel Committee, 2 appointments to be placed on file, and 1 petition to be referred to license. Is there anyone who would like to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Seeing none, on Councillor Seeka's motion to approve the consent agenda, seconded by Councillor Simonelli, the clerk will call the roll.
Councillor Cologne Hayes.
Yes.
Councillor Crowe.
Yes.
Councillor Linehan.
Yes.
Councillor McDonald.
Yes.
Councillor Seega.
Yes.
Councillor Simonelli. Yes. Councillor Spatafora. Yes. Councillor Taylor. Yes. Councillor Winslow.
Yes.
Council President O'Malley.
Yes.
10-0, been approved.
Next order of business.
Council will hold a public hearing on National Grid petitions to install underground conduits, paper 137-25, petition, Massachusetts Electric Company, DBA National Grid, plan number 30861819, National Grid to install 2 4-inch underground conduits, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures, starting at pole 5441 on Charles Street, Malden, Mass. Hearing required.
Hello, it looks like we have National Grid in attendance. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hello?
Yeah, you don't have to, you can just speak.
I didn't realize how much I could pick up on this one. I know, I almost ripped it right off. Hello. Hello and good evening, everyone. My name is Anas Asha. I'm an electrical designer with National Grid, and I'm in front of you to petition for permission. That's a tongue twister for to go underground on public property. It's a sidewalk that's right by the pole. The pole number is, sorry, let me find that one more time. Pole number is 5441. Our customer would like to install a pad right on his property, and he'd like to go underground for that, and hence the digging right by the pole. And the
Great. I think we have some diagrams in the agenda for anyone who has, who would like to look at it. Is that the end of your presentation?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought there was going to be some question. I'm sorry. This is my, honestly, to be honest, this is my first petition.
No, you're good. Does anyone have any questions for the petitioner? Does anyone have any questions? Councilor Crowe, this is your ward, I think.
I think you just know that the mics are going live right away. So I did talk to them. I talked to National Grid ahead of time. This is a very easy one, actually. The pole is on the sidewalk, but it's less than 5 feet from the property. I think it was an area that last year they wanted to add a pole to Commercial Street, and Councilor Spatafor and I met with them, and we talked about a few different things. So I'm glad they saw the wisdom of their ways. And then, you know, it has it on the child seat, so it's just replacing one panel on the sidewalk.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thought the underground would look a lot better and, you know, be a lot easier to do than installing 1 or 2 poles on the customer's property.
Great, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah.
So we're gonna open up the public hearing now. So I will declare the public hearing open. Anyone who would wish to speak in favor of this petition, please come forward and state your name and address for the record. So anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition, please come forward. Do we have anything written in favor? Hearing none and seeing none, I'll declare that portion of the hearing closed. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the petition? Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Do we have anything in writing in opposition? So again, I'll ask anyone who would like to speak in opposition. Hearing and seeing none, I declare that portion of the hearing closed. Is Councilor Crowe?
Make a motion to grant this petition.
Second.
So on Councilor Crowe's motion to grant the petition, seconded by Councilor Winslow, with the following conditions: that the engineer be called when DigSafe is notified, and that the streets and sidewalks be restored to the satisfaction of the Director of Public Works. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? That passes unanimously.
Council President, I just want to make sure that, because it is the sidewalk, you know, I need it to be the cemented sidewalk. I mean, every once in a while you see those little patches, and I don't want that.
Yeah, and so that would be to the satisfaction of the DPW director. Okay, great. So that passes. Next order of business.
Paper 138-25, order. The Finance Committee will meet with City Assessor Nate Kramer to discuss the feasibility of accepting the provisions of the HERO Act, MGL Chapter 178, Section 23, Acts of 2024, for the benefit of increasing local flexibility for veterans' property tax exemptions and enabling the city to double exemptions through local options and linking the annual property tax abatement to inflation. This is sponsored by Councilor Spatafor and Winslow.
Councilor Spatafor for the paper.
I think it speaks for itself. I don't want to speak just to speak, but I want to thank Nate Kramer. This is something I actually saw on the state website. A couple of towns in the western part of the state have enacted this. It is what it is. It's under the governor's Hero Bill, which has other areas, not just giving 100% disabled veterans a higher tax abatement, but there's some other things in the state that the governor signed into law. This particular focus is only on a tax abatement. That's it. The bulletin, which was shared by Nate, is in front of you. Not that hard to, self-explanatory. I'm hoping to send it to finance, have Nate come down, just like we sent the earlier paper a couple weeks ago. He's working on those numbers. He actually sent me an email today, just to give you guys an update. There are under about 120 people total of all those additional exemptions we've had, not exemptions, abatements. Small number. He thinks there'd be a small number for this, but again, I want to make sure that we have a good number before we vote. So just would appreciate your support sending it to finance.
Councilor Winslow?
Yeah, no, I appreciate Councilor Spatafor and our assessor putting this forward. I think it's a very, obviously supporting our veterans who've come back is a very important thing, and it's something, a small sacrifice that we can make as a city. And I appreciate that we'll be able to look at in finance and really see the fiscal impact, but I am supportive of the idea, and we do have some exemptions already, so to expand that ability is great. Thank you.
Thank you. So on Councilor Spatafor's
Just very, very quickly, Councilor.
Yep, Councilor McDonald. So after we vote on this paper, I'm going to try to reset the microphone so this is not happening. Right
Yeah,
now,
I think
people.
it just turned me on.
Yeah, but the thing is, I
That
also,
came out wrong, but I was able to activate my own
yeah,
microphone.
that is the problem. So we're going to try to reset this after this vote because I don't know when people want to talk. So, Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I just want to say, grateful for this and very happy to have a Finance Committee meeting scheduled about this. It'll probably be 3 weeks or so. Give us some time to pull the data together and to just, yeah, thank you to you both for putting this forward. I'm excited to dig in.
Ryan again. Yeah, and I didn't, and in all due respect, I know the finance chair is busy, there's a lot of papers in there. I just didn't send it there to send it there. We have some time like the other ones. I sent it there just to make sure that there's not 5,000 people and we have to figure out, what it costs. So I'm hoping it's a small number. It would be good. It's only for somebody who's 100% disabled, so we hope there's none, but we know there'll be a couple. I think it will be a pretty quick discussion, and then the council does have to vote on it to make this an act of law under the state legislature. So I wasn't doing this to make more work for finance. I think it's a small piece, but I was going to try to bring it to the floor, but I figured it'd be better to debate it inside finance and rather just taking up time on the floor. So.
And just to say, I agree that it's very timely. I mean, there's a lot of concern about support for disabled veterans in the VA and all that. So I think I appreciate the timeliness of bringing this forward. Yeah.
So on Councilor Spatafor's motion to refer this to.
I think we're gonna adopt the order,
We're going to.
and then we're gonna order finance to work with the assessor, and when it comes out, it will come out as a paper that we can then vote on.
Okay, so
So we're gonna adopt this order tonight.
So on Councilor Spatafor's motion to adopt the order, seconded by Councilor Winslow, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously, and the clerk of committees will set a date with the assessor to discuss this in finance. Before we go to the next order of business, I'm going to try to reset the microphones. We're just going to take a brief recess while I resolve this. So if y'all would like to do anything, feel free. We're going to take a 5-minute recess.
Linehan, can you hit your microphone? Yeah, we made it worse because now they don't even come up in the thing.
It's basically, it's an ordinance, it's carries resolve enrolled
We're gonna be coming back to order, everyone. If the council would please come to order. Okay, we're coming back to order now, everyone. Sorry about that. So the next order of business is paper 13925.
Paper 13925 resolved that it is the sense of the Malden City Council that it endorse SD 1912, an act to ensure adequate and equitable funding for public education, sponsored by Senator Jason Lewis as a way to address the long-term funding challenges the city faces in funding its local share of Chapter 70 schools formula. This bill creates a commission to examine and make recommendations on key issues with Chapter 70 and explicitly includes the extent to which the wealth and income measures in the formula accurately determine a municipality's ability to contribute to its foundation budget costs and whether these measures should be changed, the impact of Section 21C of Chapter 59 of the General Laws on municipalities and their ability to make their required local contributions, the so-called Proposition 2.5, and the impact of the fixed 59% local share of the statewide foundation budget on the calculation of combined effort yield for each municipality and whether the local share should be changed. Resolving these concerns are essential for ensuring that the funding will be available to support the needs of all Malden students as defined in the Student Opportunity Act. This must also ensure the City of Malden is able to provide all other critical public services essential for student and family well-being, including public health, libraries, parks and recreation, language access, and public safety. We encourage appointments to commission to include representation from gateway cities and others who have similar local financing challenges to Malden. The Malden City Council strongly supports passage of this bill, urges all stakeholders in our community and across the state to seek to ensure our schools are adequately funded, to contact their state legislatures and express their support. And this was sponsored by Councilor McDonald.
So just so everyone knows, when you want to speak, please just raise your hand. We're going to go to Councilor McDonald as a sponsor of the paper. And you can turn yourself on.
I sure can. Thanks, Council President. So, this resolution, this resolve is the latest in our ongoing engagement with the Chapter 70 school funding program, which is the largest source of outside funding that's coming into the city, as of course we know, and is absolutely essential for providing for our excellent schools. And we've talked about this many times at this table, in the Finance Committee, lots of different places. So there's a key update in the process, which is the reason for this resolve. Last year, you may remember that we supported creating some kind of a commission like this to look at these long-term issues. For folks who may or may not have been following all of this saga, let me just say by way of a 90-second explanation, the way that the state funds schools is it has a formula that says this is how much it costs to educate all the kids in your district. That's called the foundation amount. Then the next step is to say, all right, so of that amount, how much is fair to ask the local city or town to pay? We do not take any issue with the foundation budget amount that says, yes, this is how much we have to, it would cost to educate all the kids well in Malden, but we take a lot of issue with the expectations of that ability to pay. It's based on local income, like literally the income tax records from people who live here, and it's based on property values. And on paper, Malden's property values look like they should be generating a lot more tax revenue than they actually do. But the state also limits how much tax revenue we can get from property taxes. That's our biggest source of local revenue by far. So the state caps how much we can take in property taxes, but then has this expectation that we're able to pay towards our schools at a level that is just far, far higher. To give you an example, or to give you a sense of scale, right now this year the state says if we were meeting all of our if we were fully phased in, we would be paying over $70 million locally to support our schools, and that is, by the way, a huge percentage of our $200 million in local property tax. So it's a large percentage there. This year, we are paying the minimum that the state requires us, because the state requires us to pay certain levels. And that's just over $54 million. So we're a long way from what the state thinks that we should be able to pay. So this is a way to hash all of this out. When the Student Opportunity Act that said all that formulas was passed, it was clear, everybody knew this wasn't, the be-all, end-all in that local share part, but they were gonna work on it. Well, it's time to take a look at this. There are other issues too with local shares and the funding formula, so this bill would create a commission that tackles all of those pieces. And we think there's a lot to get excited about, to take a fresh look at for lots of communities, but in particular, this offers a route to really honing in on the problems that we've identified in Malden and try to get something at that the General Court, can pass in Massachusetts. And it's been just very difficult to crack it open at all because there are lots of communities with lots of different interests. So Senator Lewis has sponsored this, and in talking with him, it's clear that the more we can do to build statewide support for this, the better chance it's gonna have to pass and actually have some teeth to make recommendations to update and change this formula. So in meeting with him, we think this is our best route, and we would like to go first as the Malden City Council formally endorsing this. We've talked with the school committee. I think they're planning to consider basically a similar resolve based on this. And then we want to reach out to other cities and towns. So if any of you, my colleagues, know other, local electeds through MMA or, just from our neighboring municipalities, we want to be reaching out to everybody that we can to encourage them to pay attention to this and to get this process underway, because it's likely to take a couple of years. So that's the reason that we're doing this, and it's a lot more specific now that this is an actual bill. I actually have one small amendment, which is to update the bill number. I've come to understand that in Massachusetts, bills have 2 numbers, and now there's a second number, so we need to update that. But the basic the text is the same. This is just it's just a technical edit. So I would be happy to have any questions that I can answer. I'll answer if I can. Councilor O'Malley, as council president, has been in some of these meetings as well. But we wanted to put a marker out first, saying yes, we think this is a route to addressing the long-term concerns that we very much share in terms of our budget. Councilor Spadafora was just in the local newspaper making this exact point this past week. So I know that that is a sentiment that we all share. We voted on this in the past. This is the next step to help move this forward. Thank you, Council President.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this paper? Councilor Winslow, you can turn yourself.
Yeah, I'm on, so good. I thank Councilor McDonald and others for advancing this again. I know that Senator Lewis did try to get an amendment last year in the budget, and that wasn't adopted. So I think we just need to keep pressing. And it seemed encouraging last year, but it just didn't get through. So I think starting early, trying to get more folks and having the whole council chime in on this is great. So I'm definitely supportive. It's something that we need to figure out a way forward. And this is a step to doing that. So thank you. Great.
Councilor Linehan.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Councilor McDonald. I was going to make that one suggestion, just that we either change the bill number or keep it more broad, because I know it's so frustrating as it changes, and then you have members of the public that want to help advocate, and then the bill is outdated, and just want to make sure that we do that in a way that folks can join in advocating for this, because I really do think that's going to make a difference. Fully in support of this, just wanted to thank you for putting it forward, and for anybody listening, I think that was a really, really helpful explanation. I find that even folks or friends that I have that pay a lot of attention to what goes on in the city or in the state, it's just still a struggle to understand, like, how can we get in this boat where it seems like we have a lot of people earning a lot of money, we have a lot of jobs here, we have a great economy, and yet we're in this struggle where the state is unable to adequately fund some schools. And there isn't one magic bullet, but I think that putting our effort behind something like this, obviously there's other things that are gonna have to change. The property tax formula that cuts us off at the knees to begin with, I think is long-term, should be part of the solution. And, the sad thing is, I don't think any of these things are gonna be really fixed before many of our kids that are in Malden Public Schools are still in school. I think it's really gonna take that long, but if we don't start, it won't get fixed in a way that can be sustainable for future generations. And I think that it's one of the most important things that we can be doing. I think our population is growing younger, our school population is growing, and we're in some ways very lucky in Malden that we have new buildings. We're not faced with trying to do a lot of, rebuilding, capital improvements at the same time. I know that the schools need some work, but we're certainly not in the position of other communities where we're struggling to meet that expectation of funding and also facing an override to fund the schools and then maybe not being able to meet that. So I think there's a lot of ways that we can be positive about the local picture, but at the same time, if we don't fix this, it's like a snowball that's just gonna keep getting worse, and we don't wanna be paying fees on not being able to meet that obligation. So thank you for putting it forward, and I hope that we can do some good advocacy around it.
Thank you. Councilor Spatafora.
Yeah, I don't want to be repetitive. I do want to support this paper, great work. Thank you for mentioning the article. It's something we've been talking about for at least, I think, 3 years now. Ron Hogan should get credit for really kind of discovering this, I would say, miscalculation, if there were. I would just say, I think everybody said it here, I think public input here is really needed. And while this is a school funding issue, that's got to be fixed. To Council McDonald's point, there's a foundation number and a minimum we have to spend. So if it doesn't get fixed, it becomes a citywide budget issue, meaning we are gonna rob Peter to pay Paul because the state says you have to spend this much money, which takes it away from all the other programs, public safety, DPW, everything. Kind of becomes that black hole as we move it over there. So I think even if you don't have kids in school or children in school, whether they're already out or you don't have any children, this could still affect you one way or the other in the next, 5 to 10 years. So I think it's important to say, oh, it's a school problem. It is not a school problem. It's a school problem right now. It's isolated, but it's going to soon join the rest of the balance sheet. So I would encourage every citizen in this community to get involved in this one. Thank you.
Can I just make one other comment?
Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, that's a great point, Councilor Spatafora, that, the robbing Peter to pay Paul nature of this means it will impact everything in the city budget. And just one other thing I wanted to note about this is that this is so essential to address for our city's future and the future of our schools. And there's only greater uncertainty not knowing what's gonna happen with federal education funding. And we get, we were just talking about this in finance today, almost $6 million in federal grants to our schools. As far as we know, those are slated to continue to come, but reality seems to change every day around these kinds of federal funding. So we don't know. This does not even scratch that surface because that's all federal money. This is just about the state. But the more that we can get our state on solid footing and making sure that we're taking care of our own piece of this, the better we're going to be able to respond. The more we're in conversation about what the real need is, even as things change at the federal level, the better we're going to be able to protect our kids and our teachers and our schools going forward. So I just think it only ramps up the urgency of getting into this conversation on a really comprehensive statewide level.
Thank you. And then from the chair, I appreciate that we are trying to, take a positive approach here and be proactive. But I really think that when it comes to the city council, we've really been probably the most proactive in the state when it comes to this, really educating our legislators about the problem. This has been going, as Councilor, Spatafora said, Ron Hogan has done the yeoman's work to actually, educate everyone, including Senator Lewis, about this issue. In the last time, I believe, we brought Councilor or Senator Lewis before this body, he told us that we need to increase our property taxes because our property taxes are too low. When the mayor and school leadership, Councilor McDonald as chair of finance, and myself met with Senator Lewis more recently, and he said he was introducing this paper to study the problem. He again told us and reiterated that our property taxes are too low and we need to increase our property taxes. I think that is just not a realistic thing to do. A gateway community like Malden has never passed a Prop 2.5 override like this for just general fund expenses. So it really is not fair to put it on communities like Malden. And I'll give you a perfect example. It's not just communities like Malden that this is impacting. If you look at what is happening in Melrose, the same policies that our legislature has been pushing is tearing Melrose apart. They have not been successful in passing Prop 2.5 overrides. If you watch their school committee meetings, they are very eventful. F-bombs are being dropped. It is actually tearing Melrose apart. And so that type of debate should not be happening in Malden. Our state legislatures need to step up. They need to get the political will to fix the problem that they created. They created it with Prop 2.5, which completely restrains our ability to increase any taxes. They then passed the Student Opportunities Act, which is great because it increases funding, but it is sucking all of our new growth revenue and more, to the point where in the last 10 years, we are spending an additional $10 million every year to fund these unfunded liabilities. So I do support this, but it's way beyond studying. We should have been studying this 10 years ago when it was brought to their attention. It should have been implemented 5 years ago so that it would no longer be a problem. But you know, if we study this for 2 more years, who knows what's going to happen on the local level. And not to mention, at the same time, there have been other questionable financial decisions happening on the state level. You know, when it comes to the VOC, I'm all in support of vocational education, but I would have rather see us build a VOC in Malden and partner with communities like Medford and Everett to build a VOC that would actually serve our community versus building the VOC in Wakefield, which is pretty far away for our kids to get to. And the VOC project, which was heavily pushed by our state legislatures, is also adding over $1 million in funds that we cannot afford. Where is that coming from? That's coming from our teachers, that's coming from our police, our fire, our DPW, our ability to keep the lights on. And also, if you don't remember, they sent back $2 billion in income tax. We somehow over-collected income tax a couple years ago, and rather than reinvesting that in education, rather than reinvesting that in transportation, they sent it back to everyone. Fast forward a couple years, they find out that we owe the federal government $2 billion. So that's $4 billion in lost money that the state is dealing with, and they're saying that we need to increase our property taxes. I think it's ridiculous. You know how I feel. I support this, but this is not the end. We're well beyond studying the problem. So if you know people in Melrose, and if you know people in the other communities that are facing Prop 2.5 overrides, reach out to them, because we really need to get this as a priority for our state legislators. Thank you. You have a motion to amend the paper?
Yes, so the motion would be to replace where it says SD 1912, which is in the title as well as the body, with the number S400.
Is there a second to amend? Councilor Linehan? So on Councilor McDonald's motion to amend the paper, seconded by Councilor Linehan, all those in favor,
Yeah,
please.
I'm sorry, just real quick. There's a typo. I put in a typo. In the last sentence of the second to last paragraph, it says we encourage appointments to commission. It should say we encourage appointments to the commission.
Is that a friendly amendment? Do you accept that? Is it an amendment? Sure. To add the word the in addition? A yes vote would amend it by inserting a new bill number. What's that bill number again?
S400.
S400, and adding the word the before what? Committee. Any questions? A no vote would not make that amendment. All those in favor, please say aye to amending. Aye. Any opposed? It is amended. Is there a motion to adopt or pass the resolve? Motion. On Councilor Simonelli's motion to pass the resolve, seconded by Councilor McDonald. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed? That resolve passes unanimously. Next order of business.
Paper 389-24, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, Title 12, is hereby amended as follows. And in the extended body of the bill, it has a list of amendments to establish a new use category, use regulations, dimensional controls, parking and loading requirements, and a definition for motor vehicle services.
Is there a motion to ordain? Motion to ordain. On Councilor Winslow, seconded by Councilor Crowe. The clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Yes. Councilor Condon. I'm sorry. Councilor Crowe.
Yes.
Councilor Linehan.
Yes.
Councilor McDonald.
Yes.
Councilor Seega.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli. Yes. Councilor Spatafora. Yes. Councilor Taylor. Yes. Councilor Winslow.
Yes.
Council President O'Malley.
Yes. That has been ordained. Committee reports.
I'm sorry, we have one more paper.
Oh,
to ordain. Paper
sorry, my apologies.
402-24, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, 6.12.010, hours of operation in general, is hereby amended by adding under paragraph A, retail car wash 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
On Counselor, is there a motion to to ordain? On Counselor Winslow, seconded by Counselor Simonelli, to ordain this ordinance. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Cologne Hayes. Counselor Crowe.
Yes.
Counselor Linehan. Yes. Counselor McDonald. Yes. Counselor Seega.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli. Counselor Spatafora. Counselor Taylor. Yes. Counselor Winslow. Yes. Council President O'Malley.
Yes, that has been ordained.
Paper 140-25, Committee Report. The Standing Committee on Rules and Ordinance, to whom was referred papers 179 and 287, series of 2024. Having considered the same, make the following report. With the order of paper 179 having been completed, the committee recommends placing that paper on file and presents the newly written paper 122-25 as the product of that order. Committee recommends paper 122, series of 2025, as was drafted in committee, out favorably to the full council. Committee further recommends paper 287, series of 2024, out favorably to the full council as amended.
Motion to accept the committee report?
On Counselor McDonald's motion, on Counselor Winslow's motion to accept the committee report, seconded by Counselor Simonelli. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The committee report has been received.
Paper 179-24, order that the council's Rules and Ordinance Committee, in collaboration with the Board of Health and Health Director, update MCC 09.04.010A related to standing water, so as to protect and allow for the use of rain barrels, exempting them from the nuisance category of our municipal health code under the final discretion of the city health director.
Counselor Winslow for the paper.
Place on file.
This
Paper has already been worked through the committee process.
So there's it sounds like we're going to actually be placing this one on file.
Yeah, so just to explain, we have another paper that, this paper was really just to work on something in committee. The next paper is really the result of that, so this is just to file the initial order. So I make a motion to file the initial order.
So Counselor Winslow's motion to place this on file, seconded by Counselor Linehan. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That paper has been placed on file.
Paper 122-25, be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the code of the City of Malden 9.04.010, nuisances affecting public health, is hereby amended to provide for the use of rain barrels, exempting them from the nuisance category by the following. And this is the body of the paper, as was discussed in committee.
Okay, yeah. Do you want me to say, or what are we going to do?
Did you want me to read the amendments that we made into the record?
Do we want to, I don't know if do we need to read the full paper? Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Counselor Winslow for the committee.
so so this paper relates to having, right now, in our nuisance regulations, it talks about not allowing, runoff to collect. And there was some question about whether a rain barrel would be in violation of that. So I appreciate Councilor Linehan came up with the idea that we needed to update this nuisance regulation to make clarity. She met with the health director and they came up with some language, and then in rules and ordinance, we sorted out the details. So I'd leave it to, I guess, Councilor Linehan to explain the details a little bit more, but we hashed it out, and I think we have a good set of updates that allow the rain barrels.
Counselor Linehan is the sponsor of the paper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor Winslow. So just in brief, building off of what Councilor Winslow said, this idea really came forward after Councilor McDonald and members of the administration had brought the Green Malden Fair to the city, and as part of that, launched a rain barrel program, which is something that I think a lot of us had wanted to see happen. Certainly a lot of constituents had asked for many, many years, but credit to that group for getting it across the finish line. And immediately afterwards, we sort of realized, this does put us a little bit in conflict with our own ordinances that stipulate that you can't have stagnant water or standing water. And so really in the interest of empowering residents to do this and make it clear in our ordinances that you are allowed to have one or more rain barrels, we added this into that section of the health code. added some language around who's really in charge of enforcing it, especially considering some forthcoming retirements and reorganizations that are going to rename some departments, empowered more people to oversee this, confirmed, the fines for folks that aren't sort of following the rules, and then just really made a set of 6 simple regulations that describe what a rain barrel is, how it has to attach to one's house, that it can't be used for potable drinking water, that it needs to have drainage and can't make water flow into someone else's property. And then we did set a maximum size, and we did also make it clear that you can use the city barrel or another barrel or barrels that you buy, or that you can make your own as long as it meets these regulations. So it's pretty simple. Again, in the interest of making it easy for folks to follow, we want people to be able to have rain barrels, and we don't really want this to be an area of our code that folks weaponize or complain about their neighbors against when folks are following the rules, and this is a very environmentally friendly thing to do. So we have some language that is attached to the agenda that everybody should be able to see, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but it's a pretty straightforward set of ordinances, I think.
Councilor Clone Hayes.
Okay. Thank you so much for putting this forward, both you and Councilor McDonald. I'm wondering if you're accepting other additional sponsors? Okay, I would love to be put on that. It's a great, great idea, and I can't wait to do it in my own backyard.
I wanted to add, or maybe this is a question for Councilor McDonald. I've had a few folks ask if they can get a barrel at this year's fair. Do you know if that's possible?
I believe that it is. The Green Malden Fair is already on the calendar, and it's for, it's that Sunday, right? So that's April 27th at the same location. So I'll just take that moment to plug it and say I will double check that with our city staff, but I do believe that those rain barrels will be available, or at least to get information. I don't know if we're gonna have enough, you can take one home, but
Would anyone else like to speak on the paper? Seeing none, I would also like to be added as a sponsor. And with that, is there a motion to enroll this ordinance? On Councilor Linehan's motion to enroll, seconded by Councilor Winslow. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? This has been enrolled.
Paper 287-24. Be it ordained by the Malden City Council that the Code of the City of Malden, Title 12, Chapter 12, Section 090, Subsection B, off-site, off-street parking lots, and Title 12, Chapter 20, Section 020, Subsection I, General Off-Street Parking Requirements, is hereby amended as follows: to add landscaping materials and exempt from overly compact services, such as but not limited to crushed stone or stone dust, into the ordinance, including parking shall be prohibited in the landscaped area, to strike covered with crushed stone and add as so to prevent erosion and encourage on-site water infiltration. Landscaping shall not include overly compact materials such as but not limited to crushed stone or stone dust. Parking shall be prohibited in the landscaped area. And then in subsection I-12, strike the subsection in its entirety and insert in place the following open space coverage, including front yards, side yards, rear yards. A minimum of 50% of the front yards as determined by the main entrance to the property shall be landscaped according to the requirements of subsection 1.5 above. Additionally, a minimum of 50% of the total required open space on site for all residential uses, such as but not limited to front, side, and rear yards, shall be landscaped according to the requirements of subsection I-5 above.
Councilor Winslow for the committee.
So we had a discussion. As a lot of people are aware, we have had requirements related to having open space and limits on paving your front yard and that type of thing. So this is just providing some further clarification, because what we've seen a few things is that people have put surfaces that may not be a asphalt driveway but very compacted, and people also are parking in what is considered a landscape area, which is really kind of against the spirit of what we already have in the book. So this is really creating some clarifications to really put a little bit more backing. And I think, Councilor O'Malley, you were very instrumental in helping to update this, so certainly it makes sense for you to speak to it as well.
Very good, thank you. And so, any questions on this? If I could from the chair, this has really been inspired by some of the, it's mostly in Councilor Linehan's ward, unfortunately, where basically people rip up their yards and then they pave it over in violation of our existing ordinance. They spend all that money. And then, because it violates our ordinance, they come back out, they have to rip up the asphalt that they've already put down, and then they put crushed stone. So we are looking to tweak this to, one, make it clear so people aren't wasting their money having yards paved over, and then wasting their money there. And then after, just doing the cheapest route, which is just crushed stone. I do want to clarify that this does not apply to anyone that already has an existing driveway that might not comply with the new ordinance. It would only apply to, anyone who's looking to do this in the future. Is there a motion to enroll? Oh, is there a motion to amend based on the recommendation of the ordinance committee? On Councilor Linehan's motion, seconded by Councilor Crowe. The clerk will call the roll, or all the.
Voice vote on the amendments, roll call on the paper.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The paper is amended. On Councilor Linehan's motion to enroll the ordinance, seconded by Councilor Winslow, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilor Cologne Hayes. Councilor Crowe. Yes. Councilor Linehan. Yes. Councilor McDonald. Yes. Councilor Seega.
Yes.
Councilor Simonelli. Councilor Spatafora. Yes. Councilor Taylor. Yes. Councilor Winslow.
Yes.
Council President O'Malley.
Yes.
That has been enrolled as amended. Paper 141-25, committee.
Councilor McDonald?
Right. Just wanted to say, Councilor Taylor pointed out to me, we got the date wrong on the Green Malden Fair. It's actually the 26th. It's that Saturday, April 26th, from 12 to 3 p.m. at the Field House at Pine Banks Park. See you there. Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying.
Paper 141-25, committee report. The Standing Committee on License, to whom was referred papers 99 through 110, series of 2025, and the task of assessing additional Class 2 licenses for 2 abutting parcels under 1 business entity, having considered the same, make the following reports. Committee recommends granting Prestige Motors of Malden Incorporated a Class 2 license for 30 cars at 590 Broadway, in addition to their Class 2 license for 37 cars at 600 Broadway, as granted by paper 925, and this would be referring to 9-25A. The committee further offers the following report for papers 99 through 110, series of 2025.
Motion to receive the committee report.
And then you have to let us know what happened in committee
Oh.
from papers 99 through 110.
Oh, these ones are separate, sorry. I apologize. Motion to receive the committee report.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The committee reports are received.
The License Committee met a couple of weeks ago, I think it was at this point, discussing these 2, oh, it's only one. It's not the other one.
You have to report on 99 to 110. What happened tonight in tonight's license meeting on papers 99 through 110?
Did you write this differently than you usually do? Why does it? You don't have to.
You have 2. Report, but this committee report is generic.
Okay, that's fine. I apologize. Okay, so the License Committee met 2 weeks ago to discuss the situation that we had at Prestige Motors on Broadway. After several discussions over a few different meetings, we came to the conclusion that we would issue 2 separate licenses since some of the parking was on an additional lot that was right next door. So the committee voted unanimously to approve this petition, so I make a motion to grant this petition.
Counselor, I just have a question.
Sure thing.
So, yeah, unfortunately, because of conflict with rules and ordinances, I couldn't sit in on those conversations. So in terms of, I mean, I know this was just kind of, I did get to some of the early license meetings as we were looking at the plot plans and stuff like that. And this was a confusing one because it was one business operating on 2 lots. So in the end, is it the same basically amount of cars that was permitted before, so?
So yes, great question. So it is going to be the same amount of cars, but this year, we did a bunch of new things in the License Committee, and everyone had to put an updated plot plan on file with the City of Malden as of 2024. And that's when we realized that Prestige, although it operates out of 600, it also leases space from 590 Broadway, which has about 30 cars on that lot. So the gentleman that owns 590 also owns 600, so it's the same business owner. But our building commissioner was concerned that if the property owner was to sell 590, and we issued a license for 67 cars at 600, that they would be able to continue to have cars at 590 or have 67 cars even though they only had enough space for 37.
No.
So we have now tied the 30 spots to the 590 location, and we tied 37 spots to 600, just in case. You know, the property owner has no intentions on selling, but just in case, this covers ourselves from allowing Prestige to possibly end up with 67 cars on a lot that only holds 37.
And then they had the plot plans, once on the different permits, you're satisfied with that?
We are satisfied, as
Okay,
long
yeah.
as long as the number of cars is tied to the address.
Right.
We're okay with it, because if somebody comes in and purchases 590, then the license at 590 will go away, and then Prestige will only be able to operate with 37
Yeah.
vehicles
No, I
at 600.
appreciate the work on this. I know, I mean, and you know, as being, this used to be Ward 8 here, so, you know, I know residents of Baird Street are often, you know, there's issues, you know, related to this operation, but it's good that we're clarifying this. and
No, yes,
can
believe
work
it or
so
not,
this-
with all this, all the new things that we've required, we gave them a year to, you know, submit a new plot plan.
Okay.
We actually only had 2 that had some issues.
Okay.
So I thought it was gonna be a lot more than that, but there was only 2 that we really needed to figure out a different game plan, and
Okay.
for this one, this is what we came up with,
No, I
so.
appreciate you taking the effort, and, yeah, I mean, I'm supportive, and then it's, you know, it's good to have that clarity for the
No.
neighborhood and stuff like that going forward.
Nope, thank you so much.
Great.
Did somebody second that?
Second.
Oh. Okay, Crow second.
Oh, thank you, Council Crowe.
And this is just for the first one?
Just for the first one, yeah.
Okay.
Did you want to take them all together as one vote?
If you want.
Give the committee report on what happened between 99 and 110.
Okay. Okay, so I'm also going to do a committee report for papers 99 through 110. So 99 through 110 are actually petitions that we heard this evening. We met with compliance. There were no issues on any of the properties, and there was a unanimous vote to grant these petitions tonight. So I make a motion that we grant the petitions 99 through 110, as well as 9A 25.
And if I could, through the chair, I know that there was a discussion about whether or not the dealer's license was like the primary use of the property. Remember?
So from now on, moving forward, you will not be able to get a Class 2 dealer's license in the City of Malden unless it is the primary use of your property. And that's actually not a City of Malden, then that's actually a Mass state law. So they changed that years ago, and we are now Carol Ann's office will now no longer accept any applications that it is not the primary use of the property moving forward.
And were these the ones that where that was an issue, or?
We didn't have that issue because anybody that's already currently been in business, we've allowed them to continue in business, but moving forward, as of I don't even know what the date was, but moving forward, any new applications that come in front to the city clerk's office, they will not be accepted if it's not the primary use of the property.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor O'Malley, really quickly too, just so you know, we did, with accepting all these new plot plans, there was a ton of car dealers that actually went down in numbers. So we actually have a substantial that did not meet our 15-car license, and we gave them 8. Or if they've been in business for 10-plus years or more, we're not looking to get them out of business, but we can only grant them a license based on what they have the spots for. And we had nobody that was upset, believe it or not. I expected this process to go a lot crazier, but again, there was this one and one other one that had a similar situation, and it really, I'm hoping that moving forward, it'll make this process a lot easier.
Great. And the only reason why I'm mentioning it is that, I've been talking to Councilor Sika and some others. We're thinking about, or we're still figuring it out. I've asked for some data from our GIS department, but some of these uses that are really heavy on the neighborhood and the area. They're mostly one-story buildings. Oftentimes they're just parking lots. We're trying to figure out, as people retire or decide to move on, how can we help some of people who oftentimes have contaminated property because maybe it used to be a gas station or it used to have some underground storage tank? Is there a way we can allow them to build bigger and better things that are going to enrich the neighborhood, whether that's ground floor retail and some residential on top? We're just trying to figure out how do we kind of get these properties to turn over into something that's a little bit more in tune with the neighborhood. I just wanted to kind of put that out there because it's a challenge that the License Committee is facing, and I appreciate the good work that you've been doing.
Thank you.
So on Councilor Sika's motion to grant the petitions, is there a second?
Crow.
On Councilor Crowe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We were gonna take 9A25 first, and then I have to read the other ones into the record.
So actually, that vote was just for the 590 Broadway one?
That one was for 9A-25, Class 2 Prestige Motors of Malden Incorporated, 590 Broadway, 30 cars.
Understood. So again, let's take the vote over. So for 9A25, on Councilor Sika's motion to approve the petition, seconded by Councilor Crowe, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That petition has been granted. On Councilor Sika's, now the clerk will read the rest of the papers.
99-25, Class 2, Smart by USA, DBA Smart by Auto Group Incorporated, 495 Broadway, 22 cars. This was for a change of address / renewal. Paper 100-25, Livery Company, MGR Transportation LLC, 228 Pearl Street, renewal. Paper 101-25, Livery Driver, Amarjit Singh, 228 Pearl Street, renewal. Paper 102-25, Secondhand Dealer, Clay Jewelers, LLC, 94 Main Street, new. Paper 103-25, Taxi Driver, Louis Collar, 235 Revere Street, Apartment 503, Revere, renewal. Paper 104-25, Petition, Taxi Driver, John Danker, 36 Highland Court, Malden, renewal. Paper 105-25, Taxi Driver, Albert Frost, 679 Broadway, Apartment 2L, Chelsea, renewal. Paper 106-25, Taxi Driver, Stephen Lauber, 3 Meredith Way, Rockland, renewal. Paper 107-25, Taxi Driver, Frank Pennis Valley, 328A Bryant Street, Malden, renewal. Paper 108-25, Taxi Driver, Donald Porter, 17 Silverleaf Way, Apartment 1731, Peabody, renewal. Paper 109-25, Taxi Driver, Valentine Chale, 30 Washington Street, Apartment 508, Brighton, renewal. Paper 110-25, Taxi Driver, Carlos Vargas, 290 Mishmum Road, Apartment 2039, Woburn, renewal.
On Councilor Sika's motion to grant the petition, seconded by Councilor Crowe, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The petitions are granted. Next order of business.
Paper 142-25, order. The City Council will vote whether to go into executive session with legal counsel in accordance with Exemption 1, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A1, and Exemption 7, Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law, specifically to comply with the provisions of Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 23B, to act on the pending open meeting law complaint filed by Jadine Sika of 12 Cleveland Street on February 27, 2025, against the City Council related to the February 25, 2025 duly posted executive session on the matter of Benevolent Botanicals in 926 Eastern Avenue v. the City of Malden, where such discussion in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigation position. Additionally, the City Council will meet in executive session to conduct, and this is under exemption 21A7, to conduct a review of the following executive session minutes to determine if release of records is appropriate at this time. March 4th, 2025, paper 117-25. February 25th, 2025, paper 116-25. February 11th, 2025, paper 83-25. February 4th, 2025, paper 61-25. September 26th, 2023, paper 335-23. September 12th, 2023, paper 316-23. October 25, 2022, paper 425-22.
I'd like to speak to you.
So before we go to anyone, there has been a request that we take up these votes as two separate votes. So one to go into executive session for the open meeting law, and the second vote to go into executive session for the review of the minutes. Our council rules do allow for these to be divided. Yes, so.
But they're both in,
Yeah, so we would take, so the first vote would be on whether or not to go in for the open meeting law complaint. I'm seeing Councilor Cologne Hayes.
thank you.
And Councilor Seeker, did I see you put your?
Okay.
Were you gonna? I thought I saw you put. Okay. Councilor Cologne Hayes.
Thank you very much. So I do support going into executive session to review the notes. But I'd like to go on record that I would like to have a discussion of the open meeting law in public. My social media post 2 weeks ago on these issues of benevolent botanical is something that has been discussed publicly for years. It was a communication with the citizens I represent and keep them informed. It's not the open meeting law. All right. All right, let's vote on it. All right, let's do it in a, nope.
I do want to clarify,
Yes.
everyone, that I literally cannot do anything on this computer right now.
Okay.
And it's why I was trying to restart this computer, and it's why we took a recess. So everyone.
Oh, okay. I'd like to, yeah, okay, so I'd support, the first one is then I would support
But
not,
hold
Yeah, getting-
on a second,
Okay.
everyone. I'm trying to understand.
Yeah.
So Councilor Cologne Hayes, you're saying that you do not want to go into executive session for the open meeting law complaint?
Yes.
That is what's currently on here. Is there any other discussion on this motion? Okay,
okay.
so we're,
Wait for Councilor Spatafora to come back.
that's true. Yeah, just for a point of order from the chair, I'm not aware of any, and I would ask the city solicitor to opine. I'm not aware of any rule against debating going into executive session. I don't know.
Well, if the subject matter is discussed about what we were executive session for,
Correct. So there are rules that people cannot reveal what has happened in executive session.
But we're not in it right now.
I cannot turn you on.
Councilor O'Malley,
Councilor Seeker.
who decided that this needs to go into executive session? Was it our legal department? So then we should go into executive
Actually,
session.
just so you know, so the determination is based on the chair. So my understanding is, and I'm trying to see if the language is here.
That language you're looking for is in exemption 3. It's not in exemption 1 and 7.
Okay, understood. So the way we previously had this written in the draft agenda,
I have no problem discussing this on the floor because I know what I can and cannot say. I'm just afraid of what others may try to say in an open meeting that could be detrimental to the city's.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not aware of anything that allows me to prohibit people to have debate on whether or not to go into executive session.
Mr. President, may I just,
Councilor Simonelli.
I just think that it would be easier for all of us if we just take the vote on whether to go into executive session or not go into executive session, just because the abilities for whatever we talked about in executive session could be coming out tonight on the open public floor. And it just, it totally eliminates the reason for us going into executive session in the first place. So it's a waste of our time, it's a waste of the taxpayers' time, and the people that are watching it right now. So we either just take a vote on, either we go in executive session or we don't. And you either vote yes or you vote no. That's all.
Understood.
Okay.
So is there a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
On Councilor Simonelli's motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Crowe. The clerk will call the roll.
Can you just verify what a yes and no vote means for this one?
Yes,
'Cause
a yes-
I thought somebody else was making a motion.
A yes vote would be to go into executive
Okay.
session. Actually, I don't have any of that language.
It's, yeah, simple. Yes, we go into executive session. No would be no, we're not going into executive session,
This
right?
stuff is for exemption 3,
Right.
so you don't have to do the same language.
I have no problem.
No, we don't want that for all of us.
Yeah, so just to clarify the confusion, everyone, usually we go into executive session under a different provision of the open meeting law related to litigation. That usually requires me to read a giant paragraph of things we're going under, and that I guess is exemption 3. We are going into executive session under exemptions 1 and 7. So just, it's unusual. And again, this vote is to go into executive session for the open meeting law complaint. The clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Crowe.
Yes.
Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor McDonald. Counselor Sika.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli. Counselor Spatafora. Counselor Taylor. Counselor Winslow. Council President O'Malley.
No.
Okay, so that is 8-2, that we will enter into executive session for the first half of this paper.
So now we have the second portion. Is there any discussion on going into executive session for the minutes?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
On Councilor Sika's motion to go into executive session for the purpose of conducting a review of executive session meeting minutes. A yes vote will go into executive session to review these meeting minutes. A no vote will not.
Counselor Clone Hayes. Yes. Counselor Crowe.
Yes.
Counselor Linehan.
Yes.
Counselor McDonald. Yes. Counselor Sika.
Yes.
Counselor Simonelli. Yes. Counselor Spatafora. Yes. Counselor Taylor. Yes. Counselor Winslow. Yes. Council President O'Malley.
Yes.
So that is 10-0 to enter into executive session for the purpose of reviewing minutes for release to the public. Would you please let us know if we're going to be coming back into open session?
So the council will be entering into executive session both for the review of the open meeting law complaint and to review executive session meeting records. We will now go into executive session. The body will not reconvene for any further business and will adjourn directly from executive session.
What? Personal privilege?
But before, we'll take some personal privilege. Councilor Winslow.
Yeah, I just want to let people know that on Saturday, March 29th, 9 o'clock at the Salem Woods School, I'm organizing a cleanup of the bike trail, along that stretch with Bike to Sea organization. And then on the following weekend, on Saturday, March 5th at 2 p.m. with the Live Like Becca supporters, we'll be doing one near the community garden at 2 o'clock. So just a couple community cleanups. At this time of year on the trail, there's a lot of trash that's just gathered under the snow. We need to get it cleaned up. So we'll extend it as far as other places too. So the bike kitchen is opening on, I think, April 1st. So things are happening. All right, thank you.
Council President, may I proceed? Just wanted to let folks know, if you haven't already seen, that Malden Porch Fest 2025 is now has signups open to become a host or a performer. You can go to maldenporchfest.org. It is this May 31st, Saturday, May 31st, 12 to 6 p.m. There's going to be lots of stages and block parties and so on. So now's the time if you're interested in hosting or performing to get in the mix. So thanks a lot. And I'm sure I'll see many of you all there when the time comes.